thank you again. We were really excited that when you told us that you would join today. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Really, really thank you for that.
Well, it's no problem at all. I'm perfectly happy to say hi to everybody out there. Hi, everybody out there.
Hey.
We try to keep everyone on mute so to not introduce too much interference. But just you know, there are precisely 123 participants at this moment attending the meeting, and we are all your great fans. Your name has been popping around all the time when we talk about agile practice. When we talk discussing about how to write clean codes, writing unit tests, start with the test first or not. It has been a great honor to have you once again.
Well, thank you.
And obviously, we try to keep the session more interactive, but also less intrusive. So we prepared with our audience a set of questions.
Oh, wonderful.
Before that, would you mind to give a couple words to our people already?
I would love to speak a few words to your people. You guys are all programmers, I'm sure, programmers and software developers. I want you to consider that at this time of global pandemic, the economies of the world are in deep trouble, but have been rescued by the tools that you and I and other programmers have built. Here we are, talking across the planet, from one side of the planet to the next, using this tool, Zoom. I'm on my iPad. I don't know what you guys are all using. Some of you are probably on your phones or your laptops or God knows what. And all of that tools, all of those tools, all of that data transport, all of the communication protocols, all of that stuff is because of us. We programmers did this. We programmers have, in some sense, saved the world from the wiles and the rages of this global pandemic. So give yourself a little pat on the back and be glad that you belong to an industry that has that kind of influence and power. And then I want you to deeply consider the other implication of that impact and power. Because with great power, if I want to quote, Spider-Man's uncle, with great power comes great responsibility. And you and I, programmers of the world, have a great responsibility to become the professionals that our civilization needs us to be. That's going to be a fight over the next couple of decades for us to develop the ethics, the standards, the disciplines, and the profession, the things that we profess to the world, so that the world will know that they are safe in our hands. So, just a few words to encourage you for the next few decades.
Thank you so much for this inspiring opening. And a little bit of context, we are a group of enthusiastic software engineers, product manager, creative design, strategy consultants, all around the topic how to deliver an amazing product which can introduce amazing user experience to the end users and consumers. So let me start with a very interesting question, because you just answered one of the questions the majority of our audience were wondering about remote working. So picking up that as the line of thought, considering now the pandemic period and the remote working becomes the norm, what should be changed or not changing in an agile implementation process?
So remote working has become more and more possible as the tools have gotten better and better. Nothing replaces being together, nothing. It is better to be together when being together is possible. But our tools have gotten so good that we can be virtually together to a fair degree. It is relatively simple nowadays to pair program across the planet. From one side of the planet to the next, we could do pair programming. Time zones become an issue, but other than that, we should be able to do it. We can have meetings on one side of the planet or the other. We can address most of the issues of being together, but not all of them. Because sometimes you just want to look into people's eyes, which you cannot do with this medium. You know, you can see my face, but I'm probably looking at a funny angle. You can't really make eye contact with me, and I cannot see your eyes making contact with me. I cannot read your emotions. I might be able to get something from your body language if I could see it, but you know, you're a little icon on my screen, so I'm not going to be able to infer what you are thinking. There are so many things that are lost in this virtual world that would be better if we could be together. So in the context of a pandemic, yeah, we're going to do this virtually, absolutely. And in the context of a global organization that has people scattered around the world, yeah, what choice do we have? We're going to do it virtually. But if it's at all possible, getting together in the same room is much better. Just keep that in mind. I don't want people just throwing their hands up in the air and saying, well, we're a virtual world now. We don't ever have to see each other again. I don't think that's the way we're going to make progress.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you mentioned a very interesting topic which appeared here with a lot of upvotes regarding remotely pair programming, despite fact of the time zone differences. Do you recommend any reliable tool for pair programming? Because we have our choice, but we are interested about your choice.
I don't have a favorite. You know, I've used a whole bunch of different ones. I've actually pair programmed over Skype. You know, it works. It's okay. You know, and I've done pair programming over Google Meetup. There's just so many of them, and they're all changing so rapidly and getting better so much rapidly that. So I don't think there's a point for me to say you should use this one. Just keep playing with them and change them all the time because they're all changing like crazy.
Awesome. And change a little bit topic. And could you please let us know, without you revealing any secret or confidentiality, what kind of topic or area have you been working recently?
Oh, heavens. So in the world of software, when I write code, nowadays I write code in a language called Clojure, C-L-O-J-U-R-E. That is a Lisp derivative that runs on top of the JVM. I believe that languages like that are the future. Whether it's Clojure or something else like it, I think these Lisp derivatives, these functional programming languages that also are object-oriented, are going to be the future languages that take us forward. From the point of view of my writing projects, I'm in the midst of writing a book called Clean Craftsmanship. I think that's the working title. I've got a few other titles in mind, but it is a book about the disciplines: test-driven development, refactoring, source code control, that kind of thing. The disciplines that surround clean code. So that book, it should be out sometime early next year, I think. And then beyond that, the things that concern me most are the issues of professionalism and what I can do to promote the ideas of discipline and ethics and standards within the software community. So those are my three kind of prongs of going forward.
Really cool. And great to hear Clojure. That's very interesting. That's close down to the hero to the JVM language. And a different topic. And so it's also a very interesting question. How to become a awesome presenter like you?
Ooh. Yeah, it's a certain personality defect. I guess the best way to say that is to practice like crazy. If you want to present ideas, and if you want to be able to present those ideas in a convincing and forceful way, then you need to practice. And you need to practice it in front of a mirror. You need to practice it with your significant others. You need to get your friends around and practice it. Go to user groups and give talks. Go to conferences and give talks. speak as often as you can. Get good at it. It's like anything else, you know, the more you do it, the better you will get. You will need to focus on losing your inhibitions. You will have to be unafraid to make a blithering fool out of yourself, which I have done many times. Right? But there's no way to develop these skills without accepting the fact that you're going to make some really horrible mistakes on stage and you know, accept the fallout that comes with that. Again, it's, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, and the power to speak and convince is a great power. And so you must pay your dues. You must pay the penalty of getting that great power. And that penalty is, you know, looking like an idiot on stage a few times.
Thanks a lot for this recommendation. I'm pretty sure after this meeting, the famous quote from Spider-Man will stick to the mind of all of us tonight, at least. And let me pick up the last question, and a little bit longer. I will try to rephrase it or just read it. What would you regard as one practice to adopt or a mindset to change in order to be able to handle our double quotes uncertain future?
If I have to pick a single discipline or a single practice that will have the most profound effect on the future, that practice would be test-driven development by a huge order of magnitude, just by leaps and bounds. Just that one discipline will, if you have not practiced it, it will change the way you write code on a minute-by-minute basis and profoundly improve the way you write code and profoundly improve the structure of the systems that you create. It is one of those practices that I learned about in 1999 and I thought was dumb. When I first read about it, I thought, well, this is stupid. I'm not going to do that. And then by happenstance, I happened to sit down with Kent Beck and he demonstrated it to me. And I had never seen anything like it. I couldn't even conceive of what he was doing with me. It took me an hour just to get used to this flow of the way he was working. And I left that meeting with him and I realized that there was something here that I had not foreseen. I'd already been a programmer for 30 years and there was something there that I had not foreseen. And I went and I practiced it. And by the way, you have to practice it. You have to get good at it. It takes a lot of time. This is not trivial, right? It takes weeks. It takes months to get the skill. Don't start it at work. There's too much at stake at work. Do it in a safe environment. Practice it in a safe environment. Practice it at home, on the weekends, at lunchtime, until you get good enough at it and confident enough at it that you can bring it to work where the stakes are high.
Thank you so much. I think I do, at least for myself, I don't need to wish for my Christmas gift this year. That's already by my time. Not taking too much of your time. And the really last question from the audience for now. What do you think about those no-code platforms?
No-code platforms? Oh, these are the platforms that you make them function by entering configuration data.
Yes.
I hate them. You can't test anything. There's no way to test. You have to, first of all, configuration is programming, right? It's just programming in a different way, right? Yes. Except that there's no decent way to test it. So you have to enter all this really complicated, very detailed configuration data, and then cross your fingers and hope. Wouldn't it be nice if you could write little tests? Yeah, I hate them. Generally, I hate them. If they present a reasonable testing interface, a safe and reasonable testing interface, then I am much less opposed. But why would a programmer ever want to use that anyway? Programmers want to write code, and code is the ultimate configuration language. It is the most powerful, the most obvious, the most natural for us. Why would we want to use some other horrible configuration language? Sorry, you got me on a rant there.
No, I think you bought all the Christmas gifts for all the engineers present in this meeting now. A lot of thumbs up. Last a few words to give to us before we close this short session with you.
Final closing words. Well, remember that you are programmers, and you are one of the most indispensable professions in the world today. Our civilization simply could not run without us. 30 years ago, that was not true. Now it's true. You know, our civilization depends upon us, and we carry a burden of keeping that civilization running and running well. So be honest, be good, be clean, and whatever you do, keep on reading and learning like crazy.